Okay, hello everybody. I hope you can see and hear me well. Welcome to this free event from Beetroot Academy. Today's our topic will be all regarding the career in UI UX design. The actual topic will be pretty broad. We will discuss everything starting from the general understanding on what is UI UX design, what do these designers do, and how you actually start a career in this field. And also we'll do a quick overview on the market trends, on the job hiring stats that we have from the academy. And of course, at the end of the event, we'll hold a Q&A session with our today's guest specialist, Anton, to cover any of your questions, comments, challenges, doubts regarding the topic of today's meeting. My name is Veronica. I'm event manager at Beetroot Academy, and I'm so glad to welcome you here. I hope this event will be interesting and valuable for you. And I will take just a couple of minutes at the beginning of the webinar just to clarify some organizational issues, and then we shall move straight to the point. First of all, the technical issues, let's get tackled with them. First of all, I would like to ask you if you could write in the live chat on YouTube if you can see and hear me well. That's very important because I had just recently a power outage as I'm in Ukraine currently. So I hope the internet connection is okay, and the sound and the video quality. So just put a plus or just say if you can see and hear me well. I hope so. And also I will be glad if you will also mention from which country are you watching us right now. That will be very interesting geography quiz. While you're doing that, let me quickly inform you on the duration of the event. So we hope to do it around 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and 15, 20 minutes. It will all depend on the quantity of the questions that we'll have in the Q&A session, because of course we'll cover them all. So that's the part where it can get longer, but the main informational part, I believe, we'll try to cover it in 45 to 50 minutes, so you can know the time frames. But in case you have to leave earlier or anything, please, no worries. I understand that. And the live stream of today's event will be recorded, and the recording will be sent to you alongside with the presentation of the event in the emails that you mentioned that you used for the registration for this event. So you won't lose anything, and the access for these materials will be permanent. As for the general structure of the event, so of course the first huge part will be all the information about the career, the UI UX design field, the maybe advice we have for you, the news on the job market trends, etc. And as I have mentioned, the second part at the end will be the Q&A session. That is, I believe, one of the most valuable things you can get on this event, because today with us is our speaker, our teacher, and of course, experienced UI UX designer, Anton, who is open to share his experience and thoughts on the matters. So that's a great way for you to ask any pressing questions regarding UI UX career or the field, or maybe some advice on educational process, how would you start, etc. So really anything you would like to know, it's a great place and time to ask them. So you can either put those questions already during the event in the live chat, because that's the main tool for communication for today, or you can just remember them and put them in the live chat at the end, whatever works for you. But in case you have more pressing questions, for example, we use a term that you are not familiar with, just write it down like, hey, I don't know what that means. Or for example, that the internet connection is unstable and the video is all blurry. Also mention that. We'll tackle those questions straight on the point to hopefully resolve the issue that we are having. I'm already seeing some answers in the chat. Everything great. We have people from Sweden and Poland and Portugal. Hello, everybody. That's so cool to see such broad geography. I hope you will enjoy the evening. And with that being said, I believe I can move on to the presentation itself. Let me just share it with you for just 1 second. And you all can get ready for the informational part. Okay, so I believe the screen sharing is working. So I suggest starting with, of course, presentation of our today's speaker. Anton, would you like to take a word and tell a little bit about you? And then we can move on to agenda, small icebreaker, and of course to the most important informational points.
Hello, I'm Anton Häkanson. It's great to be here. I have a long experience with UX and UI design. I started my journey as a startup founder. Made a really cool app that helps children with autism to manage home and school activities. And then I worked as a UX UI consultant for many years. So worked in publishing, banks, both larger companies and startups. Recently, I worked with a chips brand and some smaller startup products that I was planning to share a little bit of my experience from also. So I think it would be interesting.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Then let's have a quick look on the agenda we have today. So the first part, of course, is welcome, which we are pretty much done with, but you can also see all the points of the topics we are going to cover for today. But before we actually jump into them, I suggest us also doing a small icebreaker. Just to, recharge and switch from the working and like your day-to-day mood to more educational one, let's say. So we have prepared a small scale of cat from 1 to 7. I suggest you picking up the number of the cat that represents your mood the best right now. So how are you feeling with which vibes, let's say, you have come to the event. And Anton, I have the same question for you. So which cat would you like to pick that represents your mood the best?
I think I would choose free. Not really sure what they represent, but for me, it feels like it's a little bit of curious and a little bit social vibe. Nice to see and meet some people. Yeah, so like happy, curious vibe. So I choose free.
Yeah, okay, great choice, I think. I would personally choose cat number 5. I'm also like pretty energized, ready to share a bit of information, but also learn from you and also see some comments and questions from the people. I hope to have a great discussion out there. And I already see a few answers. So we have a couple of 7s, which is also one of my favorite choices, to be honest, to make. I really like the cat in the box. I hope you're all excited for the event. We have number 4, which is for me always, that is for me is a curious type, so this little kitten who is ready to explore the field. We have a couple of number 6, which is also a great choice. You are calm, relaxed. That's a great approach. We have also number 1, which is, I believe, also a great one, really energized, like ready to, I would say battle, but I hope to like learn more and discover new things. Okay, thank you so much for the responses. I'm glad that you all have like pretty excitement and like energized moods. With that being said, I suggest us moving to the first part of agenda, which is of course career deep dive. Let's discuss everything UI UX related. So what is it? How we move in this field? What do these designers do, etc. And Anton, I give the word straight to you. Let's cover this part, starting probably with what is UI UX design, what this term stands for, and how can a person understand what they are going into.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, UX UI all usually often comes hand in hand. But I would say you usually start from user experience. That's where you really dig into and think about what the user are thinking, what they are feeling, and what value you are bringing out from the product. It's usually the part where you start when you build a product. You look at uh, how you place buttons, how you navigate. Do you understand a product? It can be, as an example, when I work now with a pretty new product, with onboarding, when you download an app, do you understand from the get-go what the app is about and what value you are expected to get from it? And then when you use it, do you find the right button? Can you navigate it? Is it frustrating to use the product? I think everyone has used some product or website where you think you're not really sure, like, okay, have I saved this? Or how do I get to the next page? Or, how do I use this product? This is where US comes in and really shines. And I usually say that a beautiful website or app doesn't necessarily bring value to the user. A really nice looking website can actually lead to less traffic if you're not careful how you make the UX design. So here you also do a lot of research. You research different UX patterns, how users are usually interacting with products. You also do a user test where you actually, put your design into the test, where you actually let the user navigate, see if they can go from first page to last page. Can they put something in the casket if it's a website where you buy something? If it's a training app, can they start an exercise? Can they understand and get excited about what they're doing? And then you have UI design, where you actually go into more look and feel. Here, start thinking about colors, buttons, fonts. What feelings are you invoking with the design? And here is where you start to polishing your design, make it look cool or look nice. You will often hear from companies that, well, we have this really great product, but it doesn't look good enough. It could be, as example, when I work with a startup, they have a really nice app, but well, they both want the users to start using it, but they also want it to look really good. So users get excited from using it, and well, maybe present to investors and so on. So here, where you take the design and polish the colors, it could be shadings, and just in general, think about how how a product looks good, essentially. I think, yeah, that covers so typical tasks and goals. As a UX designer, as I mentioned, you're searching for inconvenience. If you have a product and you want to take the user from A to B, it could be purchase a product or clearing a to-do list, something like that. You need to think about what hurdles are the users what they need to get through. Can you make it easier somehow to get through the hurdles? Can you take app that is frustrating to navigate through, or just have a lot of inconvenient steps that it's unnecessary, or that you just have a lot of information that you need to present, but then you can think about how can you present the information in a better way. I have some examples from that, and that's something usually you get as a UX designer, that you have a customer that they have a lot of text information that you need to present. How can you present it in a more digestible way? Yeah, and then you usually work with user journeys, that you call it, that you think about which steps do you go from first page and second page or third page. How do you navigate between those pages, and how can you make that process as effortless as possible? And then, well, you work with maybe not UX, the visual as much, but you work with how do you interpret the mood. You can work with text, UX writing, start thinking about what the users are expecting, how they want to feel when they're using the product, and then evaluate if is the product is actually user friendly. I would say that sometimes goes a little bit hand in hand with UI design. Is the button clickable? It's kind of a common mistake that you make a nice button that you think is great, but then you have users that misses when they're clicking on it. They put their finger outside the clickable area or the mouse pointer. It can also be that you just want to present, as I mentioned with UI designers, you want to present colors so you actually can read the information. So you make it both perceivable and understandable, and user-friendly. So you can different kind of users can use it, even if you have some sort of disability. Maybe you have bad eyesight, or maybe just glazing. You're at the beach and the sun is glazing at your screen. Then for UI design, you will spend a lot of time picking colors and fonts, test different colors, see what kind of mood you get from mixing different colors. If it's a training app, maybe you want to have colors that brings energy, that you feel like, yeah, this is now going to exercise. If it's a banking app, maybe you want to have more traditional colors like blue or green, colors that invoke security. There's a lot of apps that has blue just to evoke feel safe, and then you have fonts that you could say kind of voice of the application. Icons, I love using icons because I think that also brings clarity to your design, that you can highlight buttons or different information just by adding some buttons, choosing the right icons that people recognize and understand what they are. It's actually quicker for the brain to interpret an icon rather than text. So that's why you see so many street signs with icons and so on. So it's a great tool to work with UI design, to have icons that highlight different kinds of information. Then of course you have the overall design interface. How will it look like, and then the style and the character of the interface. And here I would say the difference between the interface and the style is that if you create, you can create an interface that looks really good, but how do you make that design be reusable, so it can be used in different products or different pages, so you have an overall style for the whole application. So you want to have a UI style that can be applicable for your whole application. Then we can move to the next. So is design for you? I would say it. If you're thinking about this, I think you should think a lot about what you're interested in. If you test an app, do you think about why it's designed a certain way? Do you get annoyed when a certain button doesn't work as expected, or that takes too long to navigate? It could be also examples from the real world, that you see a sign or door handle or something that you just don't think it's designed the right way. So if you think about those things, I think that's a sense that you probably have interest in design. You also need to have skills in details, really think about the nitty-gritty details, be a little bit psychological, think about how be good at thinking about how people are interpreting things. And as a person, you need to be curious, and tells to be a little bit social and be curious about people, be open-minded, and be good at taking feedback. If someone doesn't like your design or have feedback from it, it's great to have a personality that you can take different insights from different people, digest it, and come up with a new solution. So as a person, you need to be a little bit problem solver, but also a very curious mind. And as I think a good next step is to share a little bit of what I've been working on, and give a little bit of sense of what it actually looks like to design products and the design process, what kind of tools you're using. Here is some recent example where I designed a Swedish chips brand, the snack chips that you eat. It's a very famous brand in Sweden, actually. So the Swedish viewer will definitely recognize it. It's well, I would say it's not the biggest one, but it's famous for being little bit what I call it, lantligt, or like near produced. So I was assigned to design their new website. So from a process there, I started off by mood boarding it, where it's where you try to bring in some inspiration. Because at the get-go, when you want to design something, you want to decide on what kind of look and feel you want for your product. Website for this example, and a good way to do that is just to look on similar products. So I looked at some chips brand, but also some different food products. So as you can see on the right, I took a sample from my mood board. I just looked the website for Estrella, but also Oatly. What do you call that one? What do you call this, like fake meat thingy? Well, the meat brand. And yeah, just try to interpret it and think about what kind of mood I wanted for the website. You can swap to the next one. From there, I started to try to sort out a little bit what mood I wanted. I made some comparisons with Excel, for example, where they are more of a like fast snack, where you like, well, if you really want to treat yourself, kind of with a little bit like fast food, that's more the brand and more the feeling. They use a little bit more red to like get you to like take quick bad decisions. Lunch chips, I wanted to bring in a little bit more mood of luxury, more of like something that you really want to think about the actually potatoes that you're eating, and then sort it out a little bit what I liked and didn't like with the past website, where I wanted to have a little bit modern feeling. And then to the left, you can see that I started to like pretty early on just sort out like what kind of content I wanted to use. I wanted to have like a more fresh experience, so I took some inspiration from HelloFresh and to bring in like different, little bit like a social media feed to like bring in like a really fresh experience and bring in a little bit more modern components. And move to the next. So, well, to the left we have the old website. It's they have a little bit more texture. They use the kind of texture from the product. If you know the brand, they have a kind of paper-looking style on their packages. So I kind of wanted to tone down a little bit that texture, a little bit more cleaner, but still have a little bit more exclusive feeling. So I used a little bit more modern components to have this little bit more softer, components, bring in a little bit more fluid content in the website, and use a little bit of stripes and colors to make it a little bit more exclusive feeling. Next. And then for the product pages, I took a little bit inspiration from the food brand and wanted to make it a little bit more easier for navigating the product sites. Well, as you can see to the left, you have the products. They're a little bit more just placed out, not really like super intuitive how to read things. Well, maybe not even from an accessibility standpoint. So I made a little bit more clear color, clear text, used another navigation so you can filter different categories of chips more easily to give it a more intuitive, easier to navigate experience. Move to next. And as I mentioned in UX, it can be sometimes that you get a big chunk of information that you want to present in a better way. So I think here's a good example on that the earlier product was, well, just a big chunk of text where they describe the product, the weight, a little bit of word, why this product is different, and a big table, what it contains. So my thought here was can we make this chunk more digestible? Can we highlight more relevant information in a better way so you can understand it a little bit more of a glance value? So that's what I did in the new design, where I highlighted things like if it's what ingredients, a little bit of this black boxes, if it's vegan, if it's is it good for people with certain kind of allergies, so on, and just modeled and highlighted the right kind of information. You can take the next. So here's another app that I recently worked on. It's more of a startup product called Beetroot. It's for elderly care, an application that you're collaborating with people that are taking care of an elderly person. It could be parents, well, not parents, the children, relatives, or other professional caretakers. So they had a product that he just wanted to have a redesign of, because they understand that the current product didn't get as much usage as it could. So my design process here was kind of similar. I started to look at products where I wanted to take some inspiration from, make a better onboarding experience. So I took, for example, applications that I like Slack and Airbnb. I worked in FigJam. As you can see a little bit of sample, I usually work with taking a lot of screenshots and stuff and making post-it notes about this this could work, maybe not this, etc. And then we can move on. And then I took the current flow of the application. I had a lot of feedback, so that there's a lot of post-it notes here. But then I went through the whole process and tried to think about in each step what is a hassle and what is what is not a hassle. If it works, why change it? So I had a lot of thoughts about the onboarding process, because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of different type field that doesn't work as expected, and kind of chunked it down a little bit. The whole the whole onboarding process, and then made a lot of comments about how we could make the actual usage of where you collaborate better and more clarity. So I'm not going to go through all the comments here, but if we jump to the next slide, I think here's a good example of how you can kind of also chunk down information, because they are working with elderly care, there's a lot of legal information that you need to know, a lot of like privacy information that if you're accessing information about another person, you need to there's a lot of like terms and conditions. The previous product, well, as you can see, all the information didn't fit on one screen, so there was a lot of information, and not really, like this was the first screen, so not much clarity about how long this process is going to take, and if this is the first page, well, it's probably gonna, the rest is probably gonna take a long time. So I chunked it down. Use kind of one component that is like our user terms and conditions that you can, give it a little bit more digestible information, like, this is what we're going to ask about, and this is what you're expecting to get doing the next step. If you want to like dig into deeper, more terms and condition, you can press the white button, or you can press clear it, and also have a clear progress bar, so get a sense at least of how long the onboarding process is going to take. You can go to the next. Then, as mentioned, the usage screen, where you kind of see the information that you're sharing, what you're doing with the elderly person. Here, more took an approach to make buttons a little bit more clear to press. So my sense here was that navigation information wasn't as highlighted as it could be. So I did a little bit of adjustment, made the tab bar a little bit more clear when to press, a little bit more contrast. I guess I changed one icon, that it was the to-do icon that was very unclear. And added some more like elements that highlighted like yesterday and so on, a little bit more. So sometimes, you make redesign everything. Sometimes you just take what you have and just tweak it a little bit so everything feels a little bit more clearer or looks more nice. Can move to the next. And I think here's the last one I'm gonna show. Here's the make note. So here, if you're gonna make like a note about what you did with the elderly person, could be like I helped him pay the bills, I took a walk with him, something else. I think it was a quite boring form that is kind of use that you see a lot, that you just if you have an application, you have a lot of information, it's just a form like text, drop down, file, text, yada yada. So I thought, could I make something more interesting? So yeah, I put the picture a little bit on top because it feels more fun and relevant. And here I used icons to make it much more glanceable, what kind of categories that you're expected to fill in. So I used more of a tab bar, so you can pretty easily see, like, especially when it's just free categories, that you don't need a drop down for that. This I think is much more clearer and easier to use. And added some examples also for here we looked on the data what usually actually fill in. So give a little bit of it's a little bit more experimental feature, but give like pre-filled examples of what you can start filling in, so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. I think that's it for me here. If you move slide, I think that was the last example.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much for sharing all these examples and like guiding us through the design process. I hope that for all of the viewers, it became a little bit more easier to navigate the topic. You will have this presentation with all of those screenshots. So in case you would like to spend some more time, looking through the examples, seeing the detailed like step-by-step process, you will be able to do that. And I suggest us moving to the like third punct at the agenda, which is, of course, current job market trends. And first of all, let's see the job market situation in general, because either you are familiar with the like tech field struggles or not. Honestly, a couple of last years were pretty rough for the tech sphere all over the world. And during, for example, our last career webinar, which you can find on this YouTube channel as well, we discussed that it was pretty rough time with all of the layoffs and like pretty unstable positioning of like tech market and tech field in general. But the bright side is, on the bright side, we see that also we are starting slowly moving to a more better place, let's say. Experts agree that there is no single root cause for the bad part what happened. Yeah, so for all the layoffs that a lot of companies experienced, it was pretty much the combination of different factors like including the macroeconomics conditions and also our expansion during the pandemic and fears of impending recession. So everything just led to what we had previous years. But since the peak of layouts in 2023, as you can see on the graph, they have been slowed little by little, and the market is showing like slight signs of recovering, which is really, really great news, though it's still important to understand that the industry is not yet fully out of the woods and not fully recovered. That being said, it's still a better time to, start and enter the tech field that it was last or previous year. And as you can see on the right side, I'm sorry, you have a few factors that like add to the improvement of the situation, and you also have the source materials. You would like to browse the full article, you're more than welcome. And with that being said, one thing is pretty clear: the industry during these couple of years has changed drastically, and with that has changed the needs for the workforce and for the specialists, and of course for UI UX designers as well. And today we'll try our best to talk specifically about what it means for the UI UX design field. And if we're talking about what market trends are there for the designers specifically, we managed to like put down 5 main trends that I believe it's really important for you to pay attention to. Either you are already working as a beginner, as a junior UI UX designer, or just thinking about switching to this field. There are a few points to consider, and we'll dive deeper into each of these 5 market trends to expand on the topic and to help you prepare for your switch. So the first one, of course, is the impact of artificial intelligence. It's pretty trending topic. I'm like mostly sure you all have heard about it, and because like everyone is talking about, and for pretty good reasons. So most forward-thinking designers are already working with AI, somehow implementing it to their work process. Many companies like now require for their specialists and not only designers to be aware of different artificial intelligence tools, to maybe use them, to know how to operate them safely, because the safety constraint is another part to discuss for that. But for now, the most common uses for designers with the artificial intelligence tools is like creating simple design elements, helping with creative thinking, brainstorming ideas, and for example, creating simple copyright or again, like small design parts. But on the horizon, if we talk about like perspectives, there is so much more for the use of AI. Like we can use to immediately analyze and interpret data to create and design better apps and websites with better adaptability, with like more user experience in mind, and of course to make it even more accessible. Web accessibility, I'm sorry, is another trending topic that we're going to discuss in a couple of seconds. But yeah, in case you haven't yet started working with AI, or at least like being acquainted with it in its simplest form, like for example ChatGPT, I believe it's pretty much the best time to start on, except for, like mastering the design basics, but also to start working with the artificial intelligence. Anton, maybe would you like to add something? What's in your experience the usage of AI is in design sphere? Is it really that high on demand among the designers?
Well, as designers, we're usually curious about trying new tools. So, of course, a lot of designers, myself, has tried it, and I've seen some interesting product where they try to like make AI that well spits out like design and wireframes. Um, so I think it's a lot of designers use it as a brainstorming in the brainstorming process, maybe just using ChatGPT to get some initial ideas or get some like market sense, what kind of similar products are out there. And it can be very good at in a brainstorming session to like just get some like initial design, like, well, could it look like something like this? It can be really good in customer discussions where you haven't got into the nitty gritty or actually designing everything. You can just like use examples like, well, could look like this or this. So there's a lot of excitement for using different design tools as AI tools. But well, as far as it looks now, it's not really replacing designers because good it's not replacing the skill to actually be able to see what sort out what take the design decisions and see what are good and not good designs. So yeah, I think it's especially in the first part of the design process, it's really good and exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much for the comment. You mentioned really important thing that there are some use cases where AI tools are great helpers, and there are some cases when they are totally not, and your creativity and your skills and experience is still the most valuable assets a designer can have. So you can rely on some tasks. With some tasks on AI and with some tasks you still to have work on yourself, but still exploring, I think exploring AI is still worth the shot. So the second topic is, of course, designing in non-traditional sectors. And what we mean by that is the modern day design practices are also being implemented in quite unexpected industries like finance and insurance and utilities and so much more, because to create, we like see the peak of different apps you can use for like a lot of different stuff. And for those apps, you will need a designer to create the interface. We had pretty interesting examples from Anton for the things that I, for example, wouldn't think at the top of my head that you need a designer on that project. And if you think more and more about that, there are so many spheres where a designer is in need. And as I'm doing more of these career events, I listen to our teachers and specialists who share so many different examples of their work that they had different projects in spheres that, again, I didn't even consider needed a designer. And as more and more industries embrace modern UI UX design practices, more job opportunities will appear. So please be as broad as you can in your job search, be open to different spheres, and don't be scared of them, of course. And also try to look at something pretty unexpected, because you never know where a good UI UX designer may be in need. Then, of course, we have a demand for skills beyond design. Again, creating an aesthetically pleasing visual application is important. That's a part of what you will do. But you will still need to have a lot of other skills and a lot of soft skills as well. So, there are hard skills, like something specific to your field, like working with Figma, creating prototypes, mood boards, like typography pairs, everything like that. But there are also soft skills which are transferable between different professions, and that's a huge part of modern job trends, to be not only good specialist in what you do, but also have great communication skills, be good at collaborating with different people. For example, designers are in need of collaboration with developers, because those are the people who will actually make your design come to life. Doing the research and strategy for the app or website you are creating, those are all skills that A, you may already have from your old job, which is great, but B, those skills need polishing and improvement. Please don't forget about them when you're working on your resume. when you're working on your self-presentation pitch, when you're like having an interview with HR. And that's again the point where I would like Anton maybe to comment, what are, in your opinion, the most important soft skills a designer should practice, think of, improve maybe, except for like the design skills, which is of course a base.
Yeah, I think it just be like curious. I mean, as a designer, as you mentioned, you get the chance to work in a lot of different fields. I mean, I worked in bank a lot. Actually, in Sweden, the bank I work with has one of the largest design communities here in Sweden. So I mean, if you when you work, for example, in bank, you learn well a little bit more finance. It's if you like games, it's good to learn a little bit about gamification and how we can use those skills to actually engage your user more. If you work in a product where it's a little bit more legal demand, then you learn a little bit more legal. So I think it's just knowing a lot about different topics like science or legal, finance, you name it. It's usually very good when you're applying for a certain company. That a company that is looking for a UX designer, they usually highly regard someone that has previous knowledge of that field that they're working with. So I think just being, read a lot, and as a designer, just read and learn about stuff that isn't strictly like design related, and be kind of like very broad in your knowledge, not too like focused on one certain kind of knowledge. I think it's a really good skill to be a little bit of like a know-it-all guy, kind of like the guy that kind of can write 10 facts that you didn't know. That kind of like curious mindset, I think, is a really good soft skill.
Yeah, great for mentioning that. Thank you so much. The next point I would like to talk, and I believe it's really, really important, of course, ethical and legal accessibility. Web accessibility as a general is also like pretty, let's say, trending topic, but for a reason, of course, because great design is accessible to all users, full stop. This is how it should be. And you as future designers should always think about that your product should be used in different situations. And when we think of accessibility and the product being accessible, we always tend to think about like, worst case scenarios. But in fact, being like an accessible product means that you can use it in broad sunlight when the screen is completely flashed by the light. Or for example, a mother who's holding her baby with one hand and trying maybe to shop on a website with the other hand, like still keeping an eye on the baby. That's also about accessibility, to have such simple and intuitive layout that she can do it like in 10 seconds. Elderly people who maybe have some sight problems. So any minor or bigger problem you can imagine that can like take place when using your app or design or website should be considered by you and should be like resolved in the best way possible. Unfortunately, this approach hasn't always been the case like throughout the design history, let's say, and it's still not the current truth for many of the products, but it's not always the trend, but it's actually like the demand that will be like set by the law, because as you can see, in June 2025, the European Accessibility Act will come to life, and it will require on the legislation terms that the user interfaces in critical industries, like for example, government, healthcare, meet accessibility standards, which is really important for you if you will work on some projects regarding those fields. And again, Anton, I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on this like accessibility topic? What should you think of when you're trying to design something that will be accessible for everyone? And do you think it's really like a high demand skill for even junior designers to think about and work with already?
Yeah, I think it's a really high demand skills. I see a lot of job applications where you specifically ask about skills in accessibility and VCAG 2.1. And it's also a very good argument, or like kind of like a cheat code to win argument with developers or stakeholders, that if you're discussing like if you need to bring in a certain design or feature into production, if you can point to VSAG, then you automatically win that argument. So yeah, I think in that sense, a lot of designers also think it's really great. But I think it's also, as mentioned, you can, I guess, a little bit frustration from newer designers that there may be few years ago, it was more like they thought it wasn't looking as good if you designed it with accessibility in mind. But I think both UI and UX comes together now. So it's really good at the UX perspective to think about VSAG, because if you're, simple things as if you have text that isn't super clear and disappearing in the with the background color, it's not readable for people that maybe don't have perfect eyesight. Maybe it's not readable if you have some sunlight glance, or just frustrating because you just feel that it's a little bit frustrating to get and read that information. So I think it's usually becomes a much more clearer and more nice looking design if you're taking accessibility in mind. And of course, there's some aspects also that designing, testing your product, so you can use a keyboard if you can't use a traditional mouse, or if you're completely blind, there's really valuable and to actually make sure and test your product that you can actually use it with a screen reader. And if you don't know what screen reader is, that's actually the accessibility feature usually built in computers and phones that read up what you're pointing at, and that's a completely different way how you navigate. There's really good videos on YouTube if you're interested to see how a blind person uses a phone, for example. So overall, I think it's really good, exciting that it's this law is passing, because it forces larger companies to take design more seriously, gives designers a lot big stick to argue for their design choices. And overall, I think it makes better design. And as a junior designer, I think also it's a very good opportunity to bring in a skill that is very high demand.
Yeah, those are all very important comments. Thank you so much for mentioning them. And the last trend that also is worth mentioning is, of course, continued market instability. Yes, there are some positive changes that we can see, but as it always is, the market will always have its ups and downs, because that's the way it is, and you have to be prepared for that. Even if we are not speaking about the layoffs and all the negative trends, there will be always some more active and slow periods, and then just again how the things are. And again, while most economists predict that the tech industry will continue to recover and probably even grow, some forces, both global and local, will impact the number of opportunities available for you, because of course all the situations are individual and different. But I suggest you looking at that as the natural way of thinking, and just to pursue everything that you will face as a challenge, as an opportunity to grow. We have mentioned that designers are in need in more than one sphere, so try to be open-minded, look for unexpected turns, and always pursue the different challenges and different tasks and different projects in these spheres, in the fields that maybe you haven't thought about before, and be ready, yes, that there is no way anyone can guarantee like a 100% stable job, but rather a very interesting journey. And that's also very great start. And the best you can do actually is to always try to your best to like look at the trends, how it's going, what are the more demanding fields for this time, for this period or whatever, and maybe try to switch your attention there to look for all the emerging technologies, to expand your toolkit, to, of course, gather more and more projects for your portfolio, to become a very experienced designer, because those, regardless of the field and the project, are always in need. And that's the way to stay competitive in general. And that being said, let's move on to a very important slide, what it takes to stand out from all the other applicants for a new job. So with the of course, mentioning that you have to have modern design foundation, which is like, again, your hard skills, like knowing UI and UX, knowing Figma, all of that. There are still a few more, let's say, points that you can have like a feather in the cap to actually secure a job or to be really again, to really stand out among the other applicants. Those are 4 of them. And to be honest, quite a lot of them are already what we have mentioned at length, like ability to design accessible experiences and interfaces, of course, familiarity and comfort using AI tools, we have mentioned, strong soft skills, yes, collaboration, strategy, analysis, communication, all of that, and also diverse design experiences and interests, which Anton has mentioned. That was also a very great comment. Among these 4 that we have prepared, Anton, do you think there are any other things that you will like give as a piece of advice to someone who is only starting, who is scared of the field, and how can this person actually stand off among all of the other applicants when trying to find a job?
Yeah, I think we haven't touched upon collaboration that much. I think that's also one skill that is even mentioned in job applications, that you're expected to collaborate with a lot of the different peoples. You're expected to work with different development teams, different product managers, stakeholders, and of course work with users. So I mean, it's gone the days where you could sit in your quiet room as a designer and design, and then just put out a finished design. You expect and need to work with people and bring in different skill sets and people during your design process. So it's very like high demanded to be able to show in your design process that, well, here I took, here I had a workshop with developers and users and talked about like how can we make this feature the best way possible with development resources that we have, and align different design decisions with what's their purpose with this product. You have like sales and business goals, and then you have like users, what they get out from it. So collaborate with business people also, and bring in all that together to make the product, and also so everyone is on board on what you're designing and why you're designing it, and communicating it, and kind of advocating in an organization why design is so important. That's a very important and high demanded soft skill that is usually on job applications. And then, I think we talked about the other, I think all this goes very good in hand together, that design for accessibility will also give you a really big thumbs up on your resume. AI tools, I think it would be really interesting and good to maybe bring in your when you're presenting your design process to show like where you bring in AI tools, and of course, while you're using it, it will give you like wrong suggestions. Sometimes it will make mistakes. So here you will be the one that needs to like keep in mind that, so you don't send like a design that is, or a picture or design or something that is completely wrong because you only used AI. So show that you brought in some AI tools, but you evaluated the result and used it to make your design process quicker. I think that's very interesting and high demanded to really neat to show in your design portfolio. And just bring in your what's your interest, and think about how you can use them in your design process. So I think all of this is very strong, would give you a very strong competitive advantage.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your comments. Now I will take just a couple of minutes to tell you a bit about Beetroot Academy, how we actually can help you equip with all of the necessary skills. And then, of course, we shall move on to the most interesting part, or at least one of the most interesting, which is Q&A. So if to tell you like a brief history so you can understand who we are and what we actually do. So Beetroot Academy is a Ukrainian-Swedish tech academy that has been on the market for 10 years. And we have always aimed to help people start or advance in their tech careers through expert-led practical training. We also try our best now to equip with all the necessary tools and techniques different business companies with like specially crafted trainings for them. And we, which is also important to mention, are a part of even bigger Beetroot tech ecosystem. So that being said, we're not only an academy that helps to get a new profession, but we have also Beetroot like tech company where we can always source all the necessary information about like job market trends and how the industry is feeling. And we have also a Beetroot tech fund, which for now is of course gathering all the money and tries to help rebuild Ukraine after the full-scale invasion. If to speak about the brief history and how we expanded on different markets, we actually started in 2013 in Poltava, Ukraine. We were founded by people whose mission was to help people get a tech profession, to thrive in the tech economy, and to bring like positive impact for people in need and smaller cities, for example, for different categories of communities that were maybe not so, for whom maybe the tech education was not that accessible. And we actually started offline, and before the pandemic, we had in-person educational hubs in more than 20 cities of Ukraine. But then 2020 came, and as many businesses, we have experienced some changes, and we decided to move to live online classes, which also helped us to expand even more with focus on Ukraine. But we also moved to other European countries with focus still on Poland, Bulgaria, Portugal, and Sweden as well. And this switch helped us to access even more people and help them thrive in the tech careers. With the 10 years of our work, more than 12,000 people were trained in our courses across several IT fields. And with our information, up to 70% of those people were able to successfully get a job in tech. And now they have like successful and fulfilling careers, and we are extremely proud for them and their work. If to present like the, let's say, educational and like workflow decisions in the nutshell, we have live online classes, as I have mentioned, that are taught by experts like Anton, who is also the next group teacher of the UI UX course. We offer practical hands-on tasks to make you actually learn the skills you will need and not only the theory. And in addition to the general training materials, we also offer personal career coaching, because we understand that probably the ultimate goal in going to our training is actually to find a job, and not only mastering the necessary material, but also learning how to present yourself, how to craft a CV and the cover letter, how to make maybe a personal development plan. Those are also very high demand, useful skills that you can get not during the course, but during those personal career coaching. We also have a broad network of different technical experts who are open to share their thoughts and advice and experience, and sometimes even job vacancies with our students. And the point which we are extremely proud of is, of course, that we are accredited by Almega. Almega, in case you don't know, is a Swedish organization that checks the quality level of different educational providers, and all of our courses, materials, and training programs are accredited by it, as well as the diplomas that students will get at the end of their educational journey, so that the, let's say, weight of the education that you will get is far more profound that it would be without it. And of course, we have a broad network of different partners. We work with global leaders. Some of them you can see on the screen, both in terms of partnership, they offer internship and vacancies for our students. We work with them to provide personalized training programs, and we try our best to create positive impact in economical spheres as well. As to talk about how we actually teach. So the process is, as I have mentioned, we offer real experts who are your teachers, who are not only, retired and not working in tech anymore and just dedicated all their time to teach. No, those are actually people who continue working in the field. That's why they can provide you hands-on practical tasks, tools, skills that are really in need right there, right now in the job market. Those classes are live and online in the convenient evening time, so you can join them after work, because I would say 80 to 90% of our students still have the first job, and of course they have families and other stuff that you still have to combine somehow with the training. But in case you can't during the live classes, you of course will have the recording of live classes alongside with all of the necessary materials and articles and videos in the learning management system, and access to those materials will be with you forever. You will also have practical homework to train all the skills that you gathered. And at the end of the course, you will have a separate project. So for example, in the UI UX design course, you will have final project, which is the biggest and probably the hardest to come up with. But also during the course, you will have a few other smaller projects that you still can add to your portfolio, and that still will help you to master all the skills you will acquire during the course. You will have, of course, home assignments as different parts of those projects, and you will receive personalized feedback from our teachers on those tasks. And the course program is pretty full and intense to get you the most broad education possible. So you will have a separate module on websites, on mobile application, on UI and UX, of course, for you to get the best of all of the worlds and to try different perspectives, because UI UX designers can work in many different projects, and to offer you a bit of understanding where you can apply your skills is also included in the program. And the general flow of the education is pretty simple. It can be described in these 3 steps. Before the class, you will study theory at home. All the articles and materials will be gathered in learning management system. So you'll read through the articles, get known with the terms like prototype or wireframe, etc. Then you come to a live class with teacher where you can ask questions, work with the materials you have just covered, discuss some maybe challenging topics, and do some practical tasks to actually manage to get the practical skills. And then you come with the homework, which will consolidate the knowledge you have gathered and help you create the projects you will be able to add to your portfolio at the end of the course. And as I have mentioned, in addition to the general course materials, you will have a personal career coaching, which will help you be job ready by the end of the educational progress. There are many things you can do in those career coaching sessions. Here are just a few ideas, but for example, you can train the questions for the interviews, create a standout resume and cover letter, maybe develop a strategy or a personal development plan, improve some pitches and presentations and some points you need to polish, learn tips and tricks for navigating the job market to know where to look for the best vacancies and offers, etc. You can, as I've said, do anything out of this, do everything. It actually is pretty flexible, and you will choose how to dedicate your time during those career coaching sessions. But still, there is time and place to work on the looking for a job part while learning at the course, you will get both the design basics and all of the additional skills. Like for example, we'll tackle web accessibility, try to implement AI tools, etc. And that being said, actually, I hope you get the general understanding how we work and study at Beetroot Academy. And I suggest us moving to the most exciting and entertaining part again as for me, which is a Q&A session. And that's a great part, as I have mentioned, to ask any kind of questions to our today's speaker, Anton, regarding UI UX design field in general, how to start your career, what are tips and tricks he can share with you as the newbies in this field. So again, just write down those questions in the live chat. We shall do our best to answer those questions. And again, they can be about literally everything. So I'm waiting for them in the live chat for now. And while I'm waiting, I would like also to show you a small bonus that we have for all of the participants. So with the choosing your job, we believe it can be pretty challenging. And that's why, of course, dedicate yourself to a full-blown course can be a bit hard. So in case you still have some doubts, you can sign up for our free intro course. It's pretty small, so doesn't require so much commitment out of you. It's self-paced. It has 5 lessons with all of the theoretical materials and also some practical tasks where you can actually try it out, how it is to be a designer and how it is to do some typical design tasks. Please no worries if you have never worked in Figma, for example, or if you think you will lack some guidance, because our teachers also has prepared for you detailed step-by-step video instructions you can follow to then actually check your homework. And that will be also a great follow-up video for you to check and to do the task just for again trying it out. In case you really like it, you can finish the course till the end, and by finishing it, you will have a special 15% discount for the whole course. The closest group of UI UX design courses you can see starts on the 9th of January in 2025 with Anton as our teacher. And with that, you can enroll for the full course, get all the necessary skills with professional guidance of a real teacher to whom you can ask any question. And then, of course, also complete the career coaching and be ready to find your first job. As you can see, both the intro course and the general course is linked right here in the presentation. You will get it after the event, and you can browse it on yourself in your free time just to check it out. And with that being said, for now, I don't see any questions. Let maybe wait for just a couple of minutes. And while we're waiting, Anton, would you like to share maybe a bit of your comments on teaching experience and the teaching and learning process at the academy? So how do we usually navigate that process?
Yeah, from my perspective, I like to, well, as you've seen, I like to show a lot of very fresh and recent experience from what I'm currently designing and thinking about. And I kind of like to challenge my students to think about the design, the different angles, not just designing something, but think about well, if you're designing it this way, how will that affect how the people are viewing and using your product? So I think I kind of match a lot of practical skills. We do a lot of assignments where the assignments will lead to design that you can show in your portfolio, but also think a little bit on your feet, how you talk and how you think about the different design and the design process that you're doing. I think also that can mention a skills that is also high demand, that not only that you can present good design, but you can also talk about what actually led you to that design, what design decisions did you take, and what insights did you work from. So can I give the story from start to finish? That's something that recruiters and companies really like to see when they're hiring their designers.
Yep. Thank you so much for sharing. We still don't have any question. That means that I think we covered the topic pretty well. But again, if you just don't have any questions for now, but they may appear for you, the last slide of the presentation are some of our contacts. You can use them to either like set up a call via Calendly or maybe write an email, whatever works for you, and ask any questions regarding, again, career in UI UX design field, the learning process, how can you enroll, etc. We'll try our best to help you and we'll be extremely glad to do so. With that being said, thank you so much for joining for this free event. I hope you had a great and interesting time with us. Anton, thank you so much for sharing your experience and advice and so much useful information, and of course for showcasing your projects as an example. I hope you all have a great rest of the evening, and I hope to see you either as our future students or as guests on another free Beetroot Academy webinar. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening.